Hello, everybody. This is your friend, Dr. Hugo Manriquez. Welcome to the Trucha Pláticas, where we hear from one of our guests who was in Trucha camp and what their journey was post Trucha camp. Today we have Julián Saldaña. Welcome. Welcome to the Trucha camp Pláticas.
Thank you, Maricas.
All right. Well, thanks for being here. Well, to begin, share a little bit about your journey from Trucha camp up to where you're at now.
Yeah, so pretty much I've been a part of Trucha camp since I was, about 6 years old. From K through 8, I was actively part of it. I was a Singer Academy charter school. And so ever since I was in kindergarten, I pretty much knew Manriquez. He was my first PE teacher. And yeah, once we got to high school, of course, we didn't end up doing PE. We didn't end up doing Trucha camp there. But once I graduated from college at UC San Diego, I ended up becoming Dr. Manriquez's substitute teacher at Wilson and Lincoln. And so,
Out in Sanger, California.
yeah, out in Sanger, California. So I ended up relearning a lot of my GRT and my Trucha camp rules. So yeah, that's my experience so far.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. That you were in Trucha camp, went off to high school, college, and then you came back and you were now the instructor at Trucha camp.
Yeah.
So tell us, what do you remember about Trucha camp when you were in it?
So a lot of from what I remember of Trucha camp, it's not like any other PE teacher, any other PE class, and Manriquez isn't like any other PE teacher. Because I've heard stories of PE being boring, kids just playing soccer all day, and not really any structure. But Trucha camp, though, I remember it was, I think everything under the sun. It was games. It was like life lessons. It was skills. I remember we did like tents, like how to make a tent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was camp. It's camping. So, yeah. So I just remember doing a lot of that, a lot of team building, leaders, followers, jobs, lining up in lines, National Walk to School Day, things outside of school. So yeah, a lot of my experience was that too. And even when I substituted, even though I wasn't allowed to do a lot of off campus stuff, I still set up, GRT or teams, some team building, some skills and lessons for my kids when I was taking over from Manriquez.
Skills you feel that you learned? Did you learn any leadership skills in Trucha camp?
I think I definitely learned a lot of leadership skills in Trucha camp.
Did they help you throughout your education journey?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, like I said, K through 8. I was pretty much associated with Trucha camp for 9 years. And so I think throughout all that time, I think I definitely learned a lot of leadership skills. We've already talked about it before, but it wasn't random who you picked to be leaders. Like it was, I think you were almost like testing us, but in a very positive way, just showing us what it takes to be a leader. And even though we were little kids, low stakes playing games, I think just being given the chance to be a leader in general, to be assigned a leader for my team on that specific day, I think that was the biggest opportunity of all, just to build up, just as building blocks, building up my character and my leadership, so that one day in the future, which is what I ended up doing, I could use those leadership skills I learned in Trucha camp for when I did swim, for when I went to college, for when I became a substitute teacher myself. Like it's little small things like that, like becoming a leader and being entrusted with the care of my team. Yeah. I think that's what made me such a good leader in my future. And I learned that from Trucha camp.
Some of the concepts that you learned in Trucha camp, did you feel like the area of character, was that something that you learned in Trucha camp?
Yeah, I think it was definitely a big part of it. I mean, of course, I wasn't always 24 hours, 24/7 in Trucha camp, but PE is a really big, important part of the day. I think having substituted for it for so long, people think it's just like a side thing you do, but it's not extra resource. It's a class for these kids.
And you mentioned earlier off camera,
yeah,
that you were part of this Trucha King and Queen. Tell us about that. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, sorry I was cutting you off. I was getting excited.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, Trucha camp King and Queen. I think it was like fifth grade. I was voted in by my friends to become like the king, the representative of our fifth grade class. And even though it was just fun, it was random. I still look back on it. I thought it was great. It was a fun time. I got to sit on a parade float and sang her.
Trucha King sat on a float.
Yeah, and I was kind of like a representative. I want to say I think at the end of the year, me and the Trucha Camp Queen, I think we were tasked with, I think, choosing the activity for the final end of the year. It was another chance for me to, be confident. And I really liked it. I loved it.
Do you feel that some of those leadership techniques that you learned there, did they help you throughout your educational experience?
I think they definitely did. Like I said before, like it seems small. They seem like very small roles on some small day in small Sanger, California, but they're really not. They're really important, not only for me, but other kids like me who, you know, we're very quiet kids, very shy kids, but given the chance to be a leader, it makes all the difference. And I think that in the end, when I went on to high school, when I went on to college, like being able to look back on those skills, and being able to use them because I had already had experience, being a team leader.
Yeah.
I think it made all the difference when I had to advocate for myself, when I had to speak on behalf of others, when I just had to be a leader in general in life.
Yeah.
I think it was really important. And educationally, I think I was better for it because I was able to go to college and, work outside of college. And I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have basic confidence in myself.
Yeah, that's great that some of those skills you feel that you learned in Trucha Camp contributed to those leadership opportunities. And what about critical thinking? You feel like you learned something in regards to critical thinking and Trucha Camp?
I definitely think I learned a lot of critical thinking.
How did that look like?
A lot of it looks like, well, at the time, a lot of it looks like being kids, since we're not the best at problem solving. A lot of it looks like argument because you're like, well, I know my role is this, but you're not doing your role correctly. Let me correct it. It's a lot of that. But I think the great thing about Future Camp is, I mean, of course, it gives you the opportunity to figure out your role, but beyond that, it teaches you how to problem solve so that you can go beyond your role, not just learn your role, but go beyond it. Um, and part of going beyond it is critically thinking because, I mean, maybe at this moment I'm not a leader, maybe I'm not assigned a certain role in a game, somebody else has assigned it, but I still want to learn how to be a good team player. I still want to learn how to think not only about myself but beyond myself for my team, whether it be like tagging or whether it be like tug of war, whether it be sharks and minnows. Like you can only work around yourself for so long before you have to start thinking about everybody else beyond you, and that takes critical thinking. And even though it's difficult for kids, I mean, we can still do it. Kids can still do it. And I think I really appreciated that you trusted us to do that. And even when we got out of hand, you still corrected us. So I think because of that, and because I had your leadership with Ucha Camp, when I became an adult and I had falling outs or when I had problems with other adults, I didn't instantly start throwing tantrums. I'm used to not getting my way all the time, and that's okay because in Trucha Camp, I learned how to deal with people who didn't always want to help me, and that's okay. People have their own goals and their own mindset, but as somebody who's been to Trucha Camp, I can work around that and still try to compromise and be okay with that, not be throwing tantrums and throwing hissy fits about not getting my way.
That's a major skill.
Yeah, that's a major.
Wow, you learned that in Trucha Camp? Wow, sign me up. Sign me up. You feel that it would be uh, is Trucha Camp needed where there's children that are learning?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clearly needed.
Yeah.
As speaking as somebody myself who's been through it and having substitute taught for your own kids, I've known kids. They just all the kids nowadays too, not just back then, but nowadays especially. Some kids just don't have structure, whether it be with their home life, whether it be with their physical education, or their just general education. Some kids they just don't have the skills to be structured in general. And I think something as small, well, what seems small as physical education can really make a big difference in not only their health, their physical health, but their spiritual, their mental, their other health as well. Because having Trucha Camp, it doesn't just teach you how to be the best tagger in the world. It teaches you how to just be a genuine good person who also has good health.
And those are pretty key roles, life skills, right?
Yeah, and that's why I think more kids should be in Trucha Camp.
Absolutely. And as we go to our conclusion, um, is there something about Trucha Camp that you learned that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yeah, I think the biggest summary, the biggest point of Trucha Camp, I think is just being an advocate. Um, talked a lot about self-confidence, confidence in others. But I think advocacy is more so a better word because, yeah, confidence might be a part of it, but just being able to speak your mind about it. Because I can be confident about myself, but not being able to actually explain that to people, that's a problem because it can quickly turn into selfishness.
Yeah.
Not only about yourself, but about others. I think being an advocate, being able to speak up about, I know I can do this. I know I can go beyond and go to college. I know I can go beyond and become fit. I know I can go beyond and help others go beyond themselves. I think that was the biggest thing I learned. Being able to advocate for myself and others as well. I think that was the biggest thing I learned from Trucha Camp.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Julián. That leads us to our conclusion and the end of our conclusion.
Yeah.
I appreciate the time.
Yeah.
Appreciate the time. Can we finish with a Trucha for life?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I'll say 3-class Trucha for life.
Okay.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Trucha for life.
Thank you, everybody. God bless.